this idea of whole child approach is actually becoming fundamental to student access and success. And that got me thinking. First and foremost, our educational system wasn't designed to support whole child education, period. I think there's also this idea that the whole child approach is stuff that's handled outside of school. In public education, traditionally, we don't get our hands dirty with the touchy feeling aspects of it. That also begs us to ask, like, all right, what exactly is this idea of whole child education? And from my perspective, people normally associate whole child approach directly with social emotional learning, SEL. And while I think SEL is a component of it, it is not exclusive at all. But SEL is the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, the skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage their emotions, and achieve personal and collective goals. It's how they feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain support relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. But whole child approach, though, is even bigger than that. And in my opinion, I think it includes everything related to a growing and developing child or adolescent. It's certainly inclusive of the academic sphere, right? So we can't think about whole child approach without being concerned with the intellectual and cognitive development of children. It certainly is the social, emotional, and behavioral aspects of it, for sure. It's also the mental health aspect. I think it's also about identity. Do students see themselves both in the learning experiences, in the curriculum, in the assessment, in the teachers, in the peers, with whom make up their classroom environment? Do they see themselves in the materials and the tasks? Are those things relevant to students? That's also a big part of a whole child approach. A whole child approach prioritizes agency. How do we make sure that kids have decision-making power in their educational journeys and experiences? It's about giving and elevating their voice and making sure they have choice in how they choose to demonstrate their learning or the tasks in which they choose to engage in. But it's also about finding joy and purpose in learning. How can you have a whole child approach when you don't center students' joy and their passion and their purpose behind why they're coming to school every day? I think that's really important there. It's also about creating a very safe environment for growth and development. Students cannot be and experience all that they can be if they come to school and don't feel safe, if they don't have a strong and a positive and productive relationship with their teachers or with their principals or with the adults or the students with whom they engage with on a daily basis. And so as we begin to unpack this idea of a whole child approach, it is not simplistic. It is not just about social emotional learning. It is about all the things that contribute to how that student is going to show up in school every single day. And oftentimes and I think this was said earlier actually, but we see this idea of whole child approach as a separate add-on, as an aside, as a secondary dish and not necessarily the main course. And I think we're realizing a lot of research has shown that if we do not prioritize the wholeness of children, there is no way they're going to learn math, science, English, or anything else we think is important for children. And so we have to actually shift our thinking from considering whole child approach as an aside or nice to have to actually being the plate in which the dish is delivered on. I think it's also another challenge is actually having the right expertise on staff with the right mindset.